you see people who put signs up. And I saw Trump signs everywhere, and I didn't see one Hillary sign. It's work to get a sign. You got to go down to the local political, club and get the sign and put it in your lawn and hope somebody doesn't kick it down or spray paint it or whatever. It shows some commitment. And I was seeing Trump signs everywhere. And then March 2016, and this was before the Indiana primary. And Trump was ahead in delegates, but everyone hated Trump, even the Republicans. You had the never Trump Republicans. And one by one, Trump knocked down, Scott Walker, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush. And the last guy standing was Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is popular with evangelicals. The Indiana primary was coming up. It's a strong evangelical state. And everyone said, aha, this is where Cruz beats Trump. The momentum shifts. He'll get some delegates. We'll get to the convention. We'll deadlock the convention, broker it, and Cruz will be the nominee, and that'll be the end of Trump. This is the Republicans talking, not the Democrats. So I go down to an evangelical compound deep in the Ozark Mountains on the border of Missouri and Arkansas. Again, I don't know too many of my peer analysts who did.
And you go down there for research reasons.
I was down there for a reason. I was actually invited down there, but I went, and this was 2 hours from Branson, Missouri. Branson, Missouri is in the boondocks, so imagine 2-hour drive.
I can't imagine.
So anyway, I'm doing, we have a large live audience. We're doing a televised thing. I'm a guest. And I'm thinking, I usually keep away from politics, but it affects economics. I'm thinking to myself, I got to tread lightly on this whole Trump thing, because these are all serious evangelicals. They're in a compound. And I know they love Ted Cruz. And they hate Donald Trump because he had 3 wives or whatever. I said, I got to tread light. But I just happened to mention Trump sort of en passant. They rose to their feet and started applauding and screaming. They were all for Trump. And I said, okay, the evangelicals are for Trump. And going back to an earlier conversation, it was part of the planning for Rick Perry's campaign in 2012. And Governor Perry, who was, contrary to what some people think, is a very smart guy and nicest guy in the world. He said that we were having this conversation in 2014, getting ready for the 2016 campaign. But he was talking about Mitt Romney in 2012. And he said the reason Mitt Romney lost was because 5 million evangelicals stayed home because they wouldn't vote for a Mormon. I know it's politically incorrect to talk about religion, and I respect people's religions, but as an analyst, it's like, oh, wait a second. Because they didn't vote for Obama. They weren't going to vote for Obama, but 5 million evangelicals stayed home. If they come back to the polls, which was Perry's insight, and then what I gather from the evangelicals is, yeah, they're coming back and they're voting for Trump, and Trump wins.
Okay.
All
right.
So my point is, it sounds anecdotal, but it's not anecdotal, because these are all in a Bayesian model. When something like that happens, whether it's a yard sign or evangelical applause, you say to yourself, what is you start out with a priori hypothesis about who's going to win, but you say, I could be right or wrong, I need more evidence. And then as these things happen, you say, what is the conditional probability that the second event would have happened if my initial hypothesis was correct? And you work backward. This is why statisticians hate it, because you work with it, you form the hypothesis and then test it, as opposed to the other way around.
Okay.
But I kept saying stuff. I said, Trump's going to win. So now, I'll say Trump's going to win in 2020. And my model right now shows him, 2 days ago, it was at a 67% probability. But I upped it to 69% after this impeachment thing came along, because impeachment's going to help Trump.
Impeachment helps Trump.
Yes.
And I can see this, but tell us why. Yeah. So 69%, you have him winning in 2020.
Right now, 69%. But there's a theta, which is just a time decay factor. By election day, I expect it to be 90%, because it's going to favor, Trump's odds are going to go up about 2% a month, maybe a little bit more from now until election day, which is still 14 months away. So give him another, 28%. So he's going to be at 90 or so
90
by election day, but he's not there yet.
He's been posting on Instagram his opinion polls every few days now, and it's gone from 51 to 52 to 53% approval rating.
Correct.
I don't know if that's correct or not, but it's interesting to see that and him posting it.
They're probably good, and that means something. But I already explained why I don't over rely on the polls.
Right.
Or you got to dig deep. But it's a multi-factor model. But the biggest single factor, the heaviest weight, Trump's odds of winning re-election are the inverse probability of a recession between now and the summer of 2020. every president who sought re-election in the 20th century was re-elected unless there was a recession. Because people go, oh, well, what about Bush?
So Bush Sr.
Bush Sr. and Jimmy Carter, they lost. I said, yeah, and they had recessions. Jimmy Carter had a bad recession in 1980, and George Bush had a bad recession in 1991. They lost. But if you don't have a recession, you win. And there's a, again, just go back as far as you want, at least in the 20th century. So, so if we don't have a recession, so the question is, what are the odds of a recession before the summer 2020? Right now, the best information is about 35%. You can argue it higher or lower. That's probably a little high, but let's take it for 35%. That means Trump's odds of being reelected are 65%, the inverse of the 35.
Yeah.
I gave him 2 more for impeachment. I'll give him 2 a month between now and and next summer, and he's going to win.
And impeachment, why does that help him?
Because he may or may not get impeached, but let's say he does. And there's a significant chance of that.
Because also, just being impeached doesn't mean you're out of office. Because
Correct.
Bill Clinton was impeached.
Yeah.
It's such a weird word, because when you hear that word, it sounds so serious. But then there's impeachment proceedings, and then there's the actual impeachment, and then you can still stay in office after you're impeached.
Correct. And you will, unless you're removed.
Right.
So,
Can he get reelected after being impeached? He could.
And he would be the first one in American history, because we've had 2 presidents who were impeached, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton.
And only Andrew was removed. Bill stayed.
He was not. Andrew Johnson was not removed.
Oh, he
was acquitted, and they had 2 Senate trials on different sets of charges.
Okay.
He was acquitted both times, and Bill Clinton, 1 trial, was acquitted.
Okay.
So no president has been removed from office.
And Nixon walked.
Correct.
Because he thought it was stacked against him. Do you think if he would have stayed, he would have been impeached and thrown out?
Nixon would have been impeached and removed. He would have been convicted in the Senate, and he was informed of that, and he chose to resign.
Okay.
But he was not impeached.
Right.
Process was underway.
Okay.
So I go abroad and all over the world, and people say, Jim, I don't really understand American politics. I say, well, don't worry, Americans don't understand it either. But first of all, you're right. Impeachment is a charge. If in the criminal system we'd call it an indictment or a charge, or whatever the equivalent is. So you've been charged with something, but now you get a trial, and the trial takes place in the Senate, which is controlled by Republicans, and the standard to convict is 2/3. So you need 67 senators to vote for conviction. There are only 46, there are 44 Democrats and 2 independents, but let's count them as Democrats. There are only 46 Democrats and independents who would, in all probability, vote to convict. So you have to peel 21 Republicans, 21, not Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse, but 21 Republicans have to come over. They're not going to come over. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham have already said this is going to be like a 3-day trial. It's going to be over, by breakfast.
So this is great press for Donald, and he's going to get great fundraising on the back of it.
He already is. He raised $5 million yesterday, one day, on a letter or something.
Because it gets all of supporters concerned. So it's like, we got to really push now. We got to go hard to get this happening. Whereas before they might think it's a shoo-in.
Right. And I explained on Twitter. I said I've upped Trump's odds because of impeachment. But here's why: impeachment, acquittal, will not change a single mind. If you hate Trump, you're all for impeachment. You want him kicked out. And if you love Trump, you think this is an injustice and whatever. And
sure. I
could write I'm happen to be a lawyer. I could write a legal opinion and that he didn't break any laws, and somebody else would write the opposite opinion. Fine. And the independents were like, couldn't figure it out to begin with, and they still can't figure it out. And that's okay. You're not going to change a single mind, but you are going to drive turnout. So people who support Trump, who might have it's raining, I don't want to go vote, they're going to go vote, and they're going to take their spouses and anyone else they can find. So it's going to drive turnout. And in a closely divided country, which is what we have, turnout is actually what decides the elections.
Hi, Brian Rose here, founder and host of London Real. If you've ever wondered what's going on behind government's closed doors and how do insiders capitalize on hidden moves triggered by these secret decisions, then I have something you need to see. Jim Rickards is a former CIA operative and world economics expert. He and I recently sat down to discuss all of this on London Real. And now he's sharing a 15-year-old government secret, one that could legally put thousands of dollars in your pocket.
After 15 years of secrecy, I'm revealing the sensitive information on camera.
He's giving London Realers exclusive access to this private broadcast, where he'll go on camera and reveal all the details behind a secret that could affect thousands of people, starting this coming week.
Simply put, the brief revealing video below could change how you think of me. I hope you understand. Click below to see it.
All you have to do is click the link below or go to londonreal.tv/Jim and sign up. Then we will send you all the details to gain access. It's totally free, but if you don't sign up, you'll never see it. And because of the nature of this event, you'll understand why Jim can't keep it online forever. So don't miss your chance to find out the secret and potentially make profits from it. Click the link below and I will see you at the free training.